Greetings to you. I'm Keith Massey. As I record this video, it is December 31st of what has been a difficult year for all of us. Tomorrow is New Year's Day. May this new year indeed bring to us ever-increasing normalcy. I want to reflect today on a special significance that January 1st has. Almost all of us are descendants of immigrants, and January 1st was the official opening of Ellis Island in 1892. I will tell the story of the first official immigrant processed through that facility and my own ancestor who also entered the United States there. On January 1st, 1892, the steamship Nevada arrived from Ireland, and the Ellis Island facility was now officially open for business. This ship's passengers were to be the first people processed there. And the first immigrant to be processed was 15-year-old Annie Moore, described by the New York Times reporter writing on the event as a rosy-cheeked Irish girl. The New York Times article about the event makes it clear that the girl had been pre-selected from the passengers on that first ship in order to provide a positive PR spin on the grand opening, with the reporters granted close access to the ceremonial first processing. As soon as the gangplank was run ashore, Annie tripped across it and was hurried into the big building that almost covers the entire island. By a prearranged plan, she was escorted to a registry desk, which was temporarily occupied by Mr. Charles M. Hendley, the former private secretary of Secretary Wyndham. He asked as a special favor the privilege of registering the first immigrant, and Colonel Weber granted the request. When the little Voyager had been registered, Colonel Weber presented her with a $10 gold piece and made a short address of congratulation and welcome. It was the first United States coin she had ever seen, and the largest sum of money she had ever possessed. I don't know whether all the immigrants in that time period were routinely given a sum of money to assist them in their settlement. That gold coin was worth approximately $200 in current value. My wife, Adriana, an immigrant from Romania, can tell you that current legal immigrants are not given a dime when they are processed through immigration at their point of entry. Annie Moore would eventually marry a son of German immigrants, have 10 children, only 5 of whom lived to adulthood. She died herself in 1924 at the age of 47. And I guess that's a reminder to us in this moment of pandemic that there was a time not that long ago when people routinely lived in the knowledge of the fragility of life. Now, on to my ancestor who would follow Annie Moore through Ellis Island. My great-grandfather, Otelius Gronley, the father of my maternal grandmother Marie, was processed through Ellis Island in 1909. However, in 2005, I was at Ellis Island with my late mother, her sister, my late Aunt Bev, and my wife. We were attempting to use the database there to find information on his transit through that location, and we were frustrated that there seemed to be no entries related to his name. I don't know whether the database at that time was not complete, but using online resources, I have now been able to reconstruct my great-grandfather's journey in considerable detail. First off, a Norwegian database documents his departure. So we learned the following. He was born in 1884. He departed on October 27, 1909. His stated occupation was that he was a painter. Now, the word maler means a painter of houses, not art. He was 25 years old when he emigrated. He sailed from Trondheim, Norway on the Salmo. This was a ship that only sailed between Norway and Hull, England. Here's a newspaper clip from 1909 advertising this route. 8 years after that, on April 7, 1917, the Salmo was sunk by a German torpedo. Migrants who arrived in Hull, England, took a train to another port, usually Liverpool, for their onward travel. My great-grandfather left Liverpool and arrived at Ellis Island on November 12, 1909. Here's the record entered upon his arrival. He likely spoke no English and just handed some American official his travel documents from Norway, which were entered with errors, Otelius with two L's instead of Otelius, and Granlil instead of Granli. But what really struck my eye was the ship he traveled on, the Lusitania. The ship he rode on from Trondheim to England was sunk by the Germans, and then the Lusitania was sunk by a German torpedo on May 7th, 1915. With 1,962 fatalities. My great-grandfather made his way to Wisconsin. On November 28, 1912, he married Dora Mae Thompson, who was born in America to Norwegian immigrants. On September 7, 1913, my grandmother Marie was born. Sadly, Otelius passed away on August 22, 1920. He was only 35 years old. He had left behind everything he knew to seek a new life in a new world. He had just settled down, married, and started his family when death suddenly took him. And so here we are. We are about to begin a new year, even as we close one that has been probably the most difficult year most of us have ever faced. So let's remember that on January 1st, Ellis Island opened, a symbol of people beginning the promise of new life. And this happened in a brutal time when the flower of youth was sadly often snatched away by death. But our ancestors pressed forward, enduring hardships to build a future, knowing it might not be for themselves, but for their children who would follow. May you rest in peace, Annie Moore and great-grandfather Otelius. Let's all be worthy of their sacrifices and endure what we must in this upcoming year. Be well. Stay safe, and God bless.